If you are looking for a podcast that connects the dots between policy and people, then you've come to the right place. I'm Danielle Hornberger, Cecil County Executive, and this is the Maryland Association of Counties Conduit Street Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Conduit Street Podcast. Kevin Kinnally here with my co-host today, Shantelle, Malcolm-Lym. And today we are joined by two fantastic guests, Dean Roger Hartley from the College of Public Affairs at the University of Baltimore, and Dr. Ann Cotten, who leads the Schaefer Center for Public Policy. Dean Hartley, Dr. Cotten, thanks very much for being here. We're really looking forward to this conversation.
Thanks for having us. This is really exciting.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to have you guys here too. As a student of political science myself, I'm very much looking forward to this conversation to learn about the great work that you both are doing in the field, you know, from training public sector leaders to supporting Maryland's government with key research. We're going to talk about it all in today's episode. So yeah, exciting times.
And yes, the College of Public Affairs at the University of Baltimore. Dr. Hartley, let's start there and let's kick things off with you. Can you just give us an overview of the college and how it's preparing students for leadership roles in public service? Obviously, that's something MACO cares a lot about, especially today when we're competing with the private sector and we're trying to get younger people excited about government.
Oh, thank you so much. The College of Public Affairs is really a gem. I'm a little biased. I've served as dean for almost 9.5 years of this magnificent college. You know, we are an urban institution in the heart of Baltimore, but our reach is all across the state of Maryland and into the region because we really focus as a university at the University of Baltimore widely for working professionals, working adults, leaders who may be in the middle of an organization that are ready to step up and go to the next level of leadership, to students that are a little bit younger that are interested in going into government or nonprofit jobs in a way that might start them out for their first step in their career. We work to prepare students in both areas. You know, one of the things that's a hallmark of the College of Public Affairs is it's completely devoted to public service and in fields that change lives. And we do things a little bit differently and a little bit more broadly than some colleges like ours around the nation. We're supported nationally by a network of deans and leaders of colleges like ours, but we're a little bit more comprehensive. We have schools of public and international affairs, a school of criminal justice, and a school of health and human services, all doing graduate and undergraduate programs. We have more graduate programs than undergraduate programs. We have 9 graduate programs in those fields. And then we also have now 8 mainly new graduate certificates that are about 12 credit hours that allow leaders who, again, that are in the middle of their organization thinking about, I don't have time for a graduate degree, but I really want to move up. I really want to move into another field, giving them those extra skills that are necessary. I think the other thing I would say about us is we have a really talented faculty, and we have 3 amazing centers, soon to be 4 amazing centers, one of which, a gem, is represented by Ann Cotten here today, our Schaefer Center for Public Policy. But we also have a Center for Public Safety Innovation that works in the field of drug and law enforcement policy. And we have a Center for Advancing Prevention Excellence that focuses on the prevention of risky behaviors like overdose and other risky issues that affect our world today. So putting all 3 schools and 3 centers together, we are focused on engaged learning, letting our students get their hands dirty in the field of public policy, and also us really doing real active work through our faculty and centers to build, you know, strong, better public service agencies. We work with state and regional agencies in that way. So that's a lot about the College of Public Affairs. There's a lot more, but we're definitely making a lot happen all over the state of Maryland.
Yeah, and you know, so many policy issues you just mentioned there are hot today, right? And it sounds like you're looking at, you know, where we need careers and where we need people to focus their energy in public policy. and developing pathways. And that's fantastic. So a lot of flexibility, a lot of different pathways. It's a gem, and we're lucky to have it in Baltimore, right here in Maryland. And the college does have a strong connection to the state. You touched on that a little bit. Can you share a little bit about the college's background and how that relationship with the state shapes the programs and the opportunities that you offer?
Well, yeah, and I think Ann Cotten, who's with us today, is really going to unpack some of this in a little bit more detail. But I think one of the things that we've learned in terms of our relationship with the state is state agencies, but also state and local governments. And we really pride ourselves in our relationship with MACO and the Maryland Municipal League as well. Maryland Association of Counties, though, has been a place that we've connected, and over the years, we've not only, I think, helped the counties, but we've also really learned from our work with the counties. So where we have an impact on the state of Maryland comes from what we learn. When we go to a MACO conference, or we learn from our graduates who are in state and local agencies all over Maryland, we learn things like what are the most pressing issues that are facing our governments today. We're learning about the policy problems that are central to rural areas in Maryland, but also urban areas in Maryland. And we take that back to our students. We also really have built incredible relationships, and Ann will expound upon this too, by placing students in paid internships all over the state, by training leaders all over the state through our relationships with the state. And what we found is that as we go around the state of Maryland, we're finding our alums and people that we've worked with everywhere. And that makes us happy, because our job is really to force maximize public service, quite honestly, and make it better, and really for us, help put our imprint through the people that we work with doing the work. And that's one of the things that I find most gratifying, going to conferences like the Summer MACO Conference or the Winter MACO Conference like we have, and seeing our alums do great things in state agencies is what really makes me smile.
That sounds amazing. I was especially intrigued by the bit you talked about regarding people who are currently working and they want to move up, and you guys finding sort of a solution for that. I don't have the time to necessarily go and pursue a master's program, but the University of Baltimore has something for me where I can still move up and I can progress while not compromising the work I'm already doing. As someone who's trying to think about my next step in terms of my master's degree, that's amazing to learn. So yeah, kudos to you guys for doing amazing work. I do want to pass the microphone a little bit to Dr. Cotten and ask about the Schaefer Center for Public Policy. She's doing some incredible work there, and we just want to hear her expound on that a bit. What are some of the key projects that you're excited about, that you're focused on right now?
Thanks so much, Shantelle. I'm not sure if you know, but the Schaefer Center is almost up on its 40th anniversary. We were founded in 1985 in honor of then Mayor William Donald Schaefer, who was an alumnus of the University of Baltimore. We focus on bringing the expertise of the University of Baltimore community to public agencies to help them solve problems. And our work is focused on three main areas, all of which support the public service pipeline. So first and foremost, we were founded as an applied research and consulting entity where we work for state and local government agencies. This work includes program evaluation, policy analysis, policy modeling, needs assessment, survey research, strategic planning. And it's really all about giving decision makers better information to do their work. An example of one of the projects we're working on is we're staffing the Apprenticeship 2030 Commission, which is tasked with developing recommendations to reduce skill shortages in high demand occupations and provide affordable training and career pathways for young people. So our work for the commission includes staffing the commission. We do a lot of background research. We are doing a survey of employers. We also do policy modeling as part of that work. It's really comprehensive in the work that we're doing. A second main focus is our Next Gen Leaders for Public Service program. The goal of this program is to encourage University of Baltimore students from all majors to explore careers in public service and to link public employers with well-qualified entry-level employees. This program, agencies apply to have a University of Baltimore intern in their organization. We match the interns in a preliminary match. And then the agencies interview those interns and select the ones that they want to have placed in their agencies. Last year, we placed over 170 University of Baltimore students in paid internships.
Wow, that's great.
Been huge.
Yeah,
and then our third focus is our Certified Public Manager program, where we provide professional development to ensure public managers have all the tools that they need to succeed. And we also provide customized training. So kind of a whole well-rounded approach to supporting public service and public service pipeline.
Yeah, the work being done at the Schaefer Center is such a valuable asset, and not just for the university, but for the state as a whole, as you said. I mean, through the research, strategic planning, performance management that you and your team do have real world impacts on improving public services. So certainly it's a huge asset. And I want to focus a little bit on the Certified Public Manager program, because it is a big part of what you do. We've seen so many folks from the county level go through that program, and it is fantastic. And I really want to dig into that a little bit. So can you talk a little bit more about how it does help public sector managers develop their leadership skills, and why it is so unique and focused on doing just that, and such a valuable tool for folks from all kinds of levels of government to come on in and navigate and learn those skills?
Thanks, Kevin. I'm happy to. I'm so passionate about Certified Public Manager program. I created it in 2012 because I saw a huge need to provide comprehensive training for our public managers who all really are dedicated to doing the right thing, but sometimes didn't have the skills because, as you know, many of us get promoted and we don't really have the training for that next job. So the Certified Public Manager program is actually part of the National Certified Public Manager Consortium. So we're one of 44 such programs in the country. All are accredited, but we each have our own unique take on the program. So a hallmark of our program is a capstone project where the individual participants complete a project to address a challenge facing their agency. And during the program, the participants learn a series of skills to address that problem. So they learn critical thinking about how to actually define the problem and understand what that problem is. They learn management tools for further defining the problem. They research solutions. They learn techniques for selecting the best solution. They develop a budget, implementation plan, and evaluation plan. And the program culminates with them completing a 20 to 30-page paper that basically documents all their research and recommendations, but also a 5-minute executive briefing. So it's really about how to dig into the nuts and bolts of solving this problem, but also having the skill to present it to a high-level executive, to legislators, to county leaders in a way that really is sharp, focused, and focused on solutions.
Yeah, so important. And it sounds like, I mean, it's a win-win for everyone, right? It's not just about training managers. It's about empowering folks to invest in their people, helping them grow into stronger leaders, and building retention and development from within. And that last piece is so important, retention and professional development, especially when it comes to county governments. We're always trying to make sure that we can retain our folks and make sure that they have access to robust professional development tools. So in that way, how do you see the program helping organizations not just build up their teams, but also grow talent from within by giving their people the skills they need to move up?
Thanks for that question. It's really important to make sure that managers are prepared to manage and to lead. One of the reasons why people leave their jobs is they quit their manager. And when you have professionally trained managers that have skills, they can also develop their employees. So in the Certified Public Manager program, the graduates are transferring these skills to their employees. I hear countless times where people come and tell me, oh, I took what I learned in class and I shared it with my team, and now we're all doing this new technique. And it's really helpful for reinvigorating the team and the organization. And they also they're prepared to step up to take on new challenges. So they're ready for that next step. Not only do they have the skills, but they have the confidence because they practice those skills throughout the program. And also, when agencies get enough CPM graduates, they get a critical mass that helps to start change the culture of the organization and how they approach their work, which really elevates the organization and makes it the type of place where people want to work.
It makes sense, and it's fantastic work.
Agreed. It makes perfect sense. Everything works in a cycle that way, especially where we're learning, we can actually see ourselves applying what we're learning to our work, it's very fulfilling to see that kind of thing come true. So I want to switch back to Dean Hartley, because he mentioned something about the pipeline to public service at the college. So can you walk us through, especially while we're on the topic of real life applications here and how you can transfer the skills that you've learned here at UBalt to what you do on the job? Can you walk us through what that looks like and how the college helps to guide students from the classroom to meaningful public service careers?
Well, thank you again for that. And I'm definitely going to follow up on some of the great things that you just said, Ann. One thing before I go into what our process kind of looks like that you've asked about, and I really appreciate that question, is we're all aware that there's a crisis in government capacity and government hiring, and there's also a national crisis in trust in government as well. I mean, we believe in the College of Public Affairs, each of our centers and all of our programs, that we can have an impact on, first of all, restoring that talent that's being lost at a time when it's needed the most. We saw our governor, Governor Moore, go out on social media this year asking people to choose Maryland government as a place for their careers. And that's really astounding if you really think about it. That shows how important this issue is right now. So one is making sure that we can create an incredible group of people to go on to serve Maryland state and local governments and our federal governments as well. But it's also making sure that they're prepared, and that those that we work with in government not just have those talented persons that are coming in fresh, but like Ann said so well, and your question said so well, helping prepare existing leaders to move up. Once upon a time, a leader could tap a person on the shoulder in their office, bring them into the office and say, I really see you being in my position, and I'm going to mentor you into that position. That doesn't really happen anymore because there's not enough time, because so many people are leaving. So we see ourselves as playing a very important role in solving this problem for our governments. And what we would like to do, and what we like to do, is inside of our classroom expose our students in any of those fields that I mentioned to first of all, the latest information, the latest learning, the latest theory, and the latest skills that are going to make them stronger in their government roles. Secondly, though, we really believe in engagement. I mentioned earlier getting our students' hands dirty a little bit. The best way to learn, in my opinion, is through engaged learning, giving students the opportunity, like Ann and her team have with the Next Gen Leaders program, to go out and get experience while they're in school, learning about the public sector. Many of our students, and a lot of folks don't know this in government, many of our students simply don't know what some of the incredible work that's being done in agencies is. They don't know what people are doing, but they're passionate and they're interested in solving problems like climate change and even budgets, and really finding ways to make things better. But what they may not know is that Department of Transportation in Cecil County does that kind of work, and that they would really enjoy that kind of work. And so that's one thing that we try to do. We try to push them out of the classroom, give them experience. And then the last thing we do is to try to get them connected to professional associations so they can start their network, learn about the things that you're doing. So one of the things we've been trying to do is get more of our students to come to MACO, come to MML, go to national leadership meetings, so that they can build their own professional network a little bit deeper and be prepared for those jobs. So that's part of the pipeline of public service that we envision. The other side of it is, if you're already working in an agency and you're trying to move up, preparing those leaders through capstone projects that might allow them to do something outside of the role in their organization that they're in right now, so that they can move laterally or up. And then last, sometimes a person's in a job that they don't want to really be in, and that's why they're in graduate school. They really want to move into a whole different field. And that's where we really come in a big way. It's giving them the tools to maybe move from the private sector to the public sector. And last, I would say everything that I just mentioned is critical in improving trust in government. If citizens see us as ineffective in government, if the capacity has eroded, and even not due to any fault of their own in government, if the capacity is eroded, we can't solve problems well and people lose trust. So we have to be better at doing more with less in an efficient way and in a skilled way, so that when a customer comes to a government for a service, they feel they were treated well and they feel that their problem was solved.
Yeah, I think that's something that oftentimes comes up so MACO has affiliate groups. And so for public information officers groups, we do find that we kind of have to toe that line where we figure out how to ensure that public trust is a factor in everything that we do related to government and communications. So the fact that you're talking about this was something that we were talking about even today, about public trust and how important it is in how we do government. It's all coming full circle, especially when you talked about engaged learning. Love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah. And Dean Hartley, I'll take it a step further. I mean, with all the nonsense out there today, I mean, I work directly with our election folks at the county level and with our county emergency managers. Those are the two of the areas that I cover for MACO. And, with the nonsense about elections and the nonsense about the government controlling the weather and, all the crazy things like that, it's so prolific on social media. And, to me, governments, if you will, have even a shorter leash, if you will, right? Because you're talking about things like being efficient and making sure that we're spending money the right way and we're providing public services that people actually want, and we're doing the good work. At the same time, though, you have this assault on government trust coming from social media and from all the crazies. And so, to me, you have even more of a problem, and you have a shorter leash in terms of making sure that you're being efficient and providing all those services, because people have heard all these crazy things, and maybe they say, well, plus they control the weather, or plus they're doing this or that, they're stealing the right. So to me, it's so important, those fundamentals, plus teaching folks how to combat all of this misinformation, disinformation, absolute absurdity, and make sure that people understand exactly what you're doing in a transparent way, right?
Yeah, you essentially have to learn how to walk a tightrope.
I couldn't agree more. It's more and more challenging all the time. I really believe strongly that a stronger and stronger partnership between higher education and government leaders is a very important place for that to change. Both in our role of teaching students broadly about civic engagement and about democracy and about, no matter what field they go into the private sector, understanding truth and understanding, in a critical way what government does well, but also what it does not so well. And then for all of us, we need to be able to be open to criticism in higher ed and in government and put our best foot forward. First of all, like you all were both suggesting, helping people understand the work that we really do, and even the excitement of the work that we really do that sometimes gets missed. It's hard to do that when you're so busy all the time, but every time we go out into the public, we have to represent and with some pride that we're helping build new transportation systems, or, we're really helping make the community better in one way or the other in the way that we do that. And it's going to take messaging, and it's going to take rebuilding trust. And my father used to tell me all the time that trust isn't given, trust is earned. And that means there's a responsibility for us to re-earn that trust too, even when we sometimes feel it's been taken from us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think so much of this is just sitting down and having conversations with people and getting on the same page. And we've lost so much of that, right? People are just quick to criticize and quick to espouse crazy things and accuse people of things without actually sitting down and working out the problem. So I know that that's an important work at the University of Baltimore and what both of you do. So kudos to you there, and we could all use more of that, right? And I want to turn a little bit to your personal journeys and what brought you into this work. And Dean Hartley, I mean, I know you. I've learned a lot about you. I can't help but notice that you actually started off. I mean, in your career, your trajectory started off actually in nuclear physics. So that's a long way from where you are now. How did you make that jump? It sounds like, there's got to be a story there.
Yeah.
How did you make the jump from that to public service?
Well, it could be a long one or a short one. And, all of our personal journeys, I think, teach people things, but they're also all personal and people get to where they go in different ways, right? I am a first generation college graduate from West Virginia. I left the state to see the world and I ended up at Indiana University. Took some baby steps in seeing the world, but honestly, I had the best experience of my life by going there. I thought, like a lot of people, I had an ambition and I was interested in science and I thought I wanted to be a physicist. And I was really interested in that all throughout high school. But this was one of those situations where I ignored the fact that I was really good at something else and I was really passionate about that something else. I always loved politics. I was really good at social sciences. And then I found that, I like to talk a lot and I like to meet people and I like to get to know people. And I found that I joke about this, but I found when I was in my physics class and I found myself in a locked room spending 8 hours trying to solve a problem, one single problem, that was made me miserable. And other people were better at that. And then I naturally fell into this amazing school of public and environmental affairs, which is now ranked #1 in the nation sometimes in public administration and policy at the University of Arizona. Or sorry, no, Indiana University. That's where I taught later, was at the University of Arizona. But and as soon as I started down that pathway after a year, I didn't flunk out of physics, but I was miserable. As soon as I went into the things that I really liked, and then found the things that I was really good at, I really excelled. And then it was just a marriage match made in heaven. I went straight to graduate school, and then I went straight to becoming a professor. And I joke that I never left college after I went into college. So I learned to be very passionate about public service, and I'm very passionate about the power of education, and especially the power of higher education to change lives. And so I love what I'm doing. And even though I do a lot of public service work on the side, and when I get the opportunity to serve on boards and commissions, I've never done anything else.
I found the story very interesting, by the way. As you're talking about your personal journey, and when I did some research, that you started off in nuclear physics because my dad wanted me so badly to be a physicist. And so he really tried to push me in that direction. And the same realization that you came to, that there were other people out there better at this than I was. It was like because at that time too, I wasn't, see how you kind of knew that, you like talking to people, you're interested in government, you're interested in politics. I think for me, someone had to kind of show me that this was an opportunity, that this was an avenue. And then once I realized that was a thing, I kind of latched onto it. But I found it really funny that you started off in physics and people were also pushing me to do physics as well.
Yeah, I guess, the moral of this story is, everyone always says, do what you love. But if it happens to be that you're really good at what you love too,
exactly.
I mean, wow, that's
lucky.
That's a place where we find ourselves lucky. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've been very lucky.
Yeah. So continuing on the conversation about personal journeys. No, Kevin, we're not going to put you on the spot and ask you to share your personal journey as well.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm going to pass the baton to Dr. Cotten. So you've obviously had not obviously, but you have had an impressive career with nonprofits and government organizations, especially as it relates to strategic planning and program evaluation. So I want to hear, and I want the listeners to hear as well, about a project or a moment that stood out in your career that was particularly impactful for you, especially as it relates to the direction of your work.
I have been so fortunate to have a terrific career. I've worked with almost every state agency. I've completed hundreds of projects. And I've done strategic planning for various agencies. But I can tell you the one project that kind of stands out for having a lot of impact on me early in my career was a workload study I did. So I led a study for the Department of Human Resources, which is now the Department of Human Services, to develop a staffing model for their welfare case managers. And one of the things that we had to do was go out and talk to case managers all across the state. So I went to the local departments of social services all across Maryland, talked to people that have been doing the welfare case work for their entire career and people that just started, And just seeing how dedicated they were to their work was really impressive. And it's part of what made me think why we need something like a certified public manager program, because people need tools to do a great job. But two things that stood out with that was one, my ability to develop the staffing model and how important that was to the agency in making staffing recommendations. The model was actually used to implement policy. But the other thing that stood out the most was a deep appreciation for how different Maryland is, depending on where you are. For a small state, it's so different. The problems that people face in Western Maryland, Eastern Shore are so different than Central Maryland. If you look at something like barriers to employment, well, lots of people might have a hard time getting employed. The reasons why are so different. And we see that also in staffing when you look at state agencies and county government agencies and they're trying to hire. The labor markets are so different in different parts of the state. And that experience really prepared me for a lot of the work that I've done since then. I've worked with State Highway Administration, different issues all across their state. I help them with strategic planning. I help them with the workforce planning. So that one experience early on just gave me an appreciation for how different the state is and how similar it is in terms of the challenges they face. And it's really served me well in my career. I feel very fortunate to have had that experience early on where I could make a difference.
You're preaching to the choir there that, what issues in Garrett County are different from issues in Montgomery County, and Montgomery County and Garrett County issues are different from issues in Somerset County, right? One size does not fit all. And I love you talking about going out and talking to people and visiting different parts of the state to understand. I find, and in my experience at MACO and with the legislature, is that if you want to do something big and make real change or implement a big policy, you have to get all the right people into the room, right? You have to make sure that people not only from different parts of the state, but different industries and professions, and you need to have all of those voices in the room at the table and providing input. And that's the best way. And that's how you build consensus. And that's how you make sure that you're checking all the boxes and that you haven't missed anything. And so you going out and doing the work and hearing directly from people, that resonates with me, because I find that's the only way to do it and to make real change and to make it lasting and to do it the right way.
I agree with that. It was so transformational. And I grew up in Maryland, so I've been here my entire life. And I learned so much during that experience, things I didn't know.
Yeah, and it's so true. It's we visit all of our counties, and I'll tell you, none of them are the same. The issues they deal with are very different, and the reasons, even if you're dealing with the same issue, the reasons why are very different. So we try to preach that a lot to the legislature, that one size does not fit all, and that you really need to think about how things affect individual counties and whatnot. So great points there. And Dean Hartley, I and both of you actually, Dean Hartley and Dr. Cotten, I know we've talked a lot about how you have strong partnerships with organizations like MACO and MML, the Maryland Municipal League, and state agencies and whatnot. And really, like, the importance of getting your hands dirty, learning how the sausage is made, if you will, right? Going out and really doing the work, experiencing it, learning from people who are in the field, and actually being in the room when decisions are made. How do those partnerships with MACO, with MML, with others enable your students to gain that real world experience? And I know for me, whenever we bring someone in, a fellow or whatnot, my first thing is, you can do whatever I do. You can come to every meeting, you can be in the room, you can do anything that I do, because that's the only way to me that you really can prepare people. So what are you looking for when you're working with organizations like ours and others in terms of that access, and how do you make sure that kids are really getting full access and really getting that hands-on experience?
I can tell you from our Next Gen program, we do a couple of things. First, we have the agencies or organizations apply for an intern, so they actually have to provide a job description. They have to tell us who's going to be supervising the student and the type of meaningful work they're going to be doing. And then we also have the student apply, so we're trying to get a good match. We match those students up, but then we also provide support services for the student. So we're checking in every 2 weeks with the student, and how's it going? And how's the work going? Having any challenges? What is it else you want to do? We check in with the host site, make sure everything's working out with the student. But then after the student completes their internship and they're eligible for the next one, we try to get them to go explore something else, look at another agency, look at another career, and try to coach them about what it means to develop your public service journey and figure out what it is you're passionate about and where you can be successful. And I think that one of the things that stands out about the University of Baltimore is how personal the experience is for students. And we try to provide a very personalized experience in our instruction and our internship programs. Here in the Schaefer Center, when we have graduate fellows work with us, we're really about individuals. We're not a big school. We're not a factory school. We're really about customized individual attention to help people be successful.
Well, I wanted to add and compliment and also respond by saying that my personal interactions by attending and interacting with MACO have been just simply amazing, and same with other professional associations. I learned this a long time ago in my career. Those of us in higher education are often thought to be in an ivory tower or off on an island somewhere, speaking about theory and ideas that may or may not have an impact on the world. And I learned a long time ago that it's a lot to expect or to ask really busy state and local government leaders to come to us. So I decided a long time ago, and I even wrote about this in a column recently for an organization called Barrett and Green. They're amazing. They do a lot of great columns. But I wrote an article about this, how, it's up to us also in higher education, cross the so-called divide and go to you. And I found that long time ago that visiting professional associations gave me an opportunity and our faculty and Ann and team to learn about what are the biggest problems facing the state, and learn in depth by going into the panels about what are some of the exciting things that are happening in cities and towns and counties and state agencies. And for me, as a faculty member, I used to bring that back into the classroom and inspire my students by knowing more about what was really going on and what was really a problem in a different part of the state, as you were suggesting, Ann. I think the other thing is building networks. Networks are golden for all of us, but for you to have an opportunity to network with us at the University of Baltimore, I found by being able to go to you and meet people and shake hands and start to listen, that was really helpful. I love bringing opportunities back to my students, just like Ann does. That makes us just gleeful. And I come back with sometimes 50 cards where people are interested in what we're doing simply because I reached out. I tell my colleagues and I encourage them all around the nation to do the same thing that we do in their own states. And I always tell them, look, you're going to show up and people are first going to ask you, why are you here? There are all of these vendors here and there are all of my colleagues here. You're a little different. You, the guy in the hat, and I'm known for wearing a hat at MACO and wherever I go, why are you here? And I love that, because then I get the chance to say, I'm here because I want my students to know about what you do. Right. And I'm here because I want you to take my students on. And I've learned very quickly that many of the state and local agencies and counties, especially agencies that you represent, really want my students, and that makes me really happy.
I love that, campaigning on your students' behalf. Love it.
Yeah, it's great. And meeting people where they are. I mean, I think that goes for everything in life, right? And I think taking the time to understand that unless you make that outreach, sometimes you're not going to make the connection, and you're not going to see what's there. So I love hearing that what you gain from our conferences and events, you can take that right back into the classroom. And I always tell people, hey, read the Conduit Street blog or listen to this podcast. Yeah. There's tons of information here. And we all know that local government is where the action is, right? If you want to learn and you want to influence policy, you do it at the local level, the state level. You don't do it at the federal level. So there's so much here. And I love that. And taking that back into the classroom and teaching students that, there's a lot going on. And yes, a lot of great careers as well and opportunities.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about looking ahead. What's next for both the college and Schaefer Center? Are there any new exciting initiatives or partnerships that you guys are looking forward to? Share with us. We would love to hear.
Well,
and do you want to kick off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. Thank you. For the Schaefer Center, one of the things that we'll be doing in the next year is launching a Certified Public Manager Association for Maryland. So this will be a professional network for all the graduates of our program. And it's a really exciting time for them to come together and network. So that's a great opportunity we have coming up. And then, of course, we'll be celebrating our 40th anniversary next year. So we'll be looking forward to our big conference during Public Service Week next May.
Yeah, for the college as a whole, there is so much energy and so much going on that one of the things I'm most excited about is connecting more of the energy of our programs in each of those three schools and our three centers more deeply into the state of Maryland. One of a couple things that I'm excited about is we're doing more and more every day to build access. We were once known as a school in Baltimore, and we had mainly in-person classes. And now we're reaching out and we're doing dual enrolled classes where we have students in the classroom and online at the exact same time, giving people to take an opportunity to take our classes in Cumberland, as well as sitting in a classroom in downtown Baltimore. That's really important to me. I want us to serve the whole state and the whole region. And there are areas of our state that are underserved in many of the fields that we have programs in. I think the other thing I'm excited about beyond access is just finding, man, I love working with you, Ann. I always say that, but I love it. We scheme together all the time about things that we can do that might add value to the state and add value to our programs. But one of the things I love to think about too is finding new ways to help professionals in your field be able to access the latest and greatest knowledge. So I think some of the things that we're going to do through the Schaefer Center and through the college is do more convening and try to maybe in the future put together policy forums where we bring in the experts, which are you, to talk together with us about what are some of the most important issues affecting the state, and then working together around those issues, building some networks that might help us solve those problems, just like you do at MACO, but maybe in the midterm, and maybe we could partner with you on that at MACO. And then I think the other thing, that I'm really excited about is trying to get the word out about all of the programs and the work that we do. We're sometimes a bit of a best kept secret, and I hate best kept secrets. I really do. We have a lot of people don't know that the College of Public Affairs at the University of Baltimore holds the Washington-Baltimore HIDA. Which many people in the state know as convening and working and networking law enforcement agencies with treatment officials all over our state to solve the opioid crisis. And that is part of the College of Public Affairs. And, so things like that, that we want to really not just show ourselves off, but really help everyone understand that we're really a great resource here for you, and we want to be. So anyone who's listening, we'd love you to reach out to us, me or Ann, or anyone at our college. If you have ideas or that we can help you, we would love to have that opportunity.
Yeah, that's fantastic and well said. I think that people need to embrace academics and really smart people when they're implementing, developing policy. It's so important. And like you said, the work that you do is phenomenal. We're really lucky to have such a fantastic institution and institutions right in our backyard. And I mean, I think today's conversation really highlighted how, investing in people, whether it's students at the start of their careers or, current professionals looking to grow, does make all the difference in public service. And Dean Hartley, Dr. Cotten, thank you so much for the incredible work you do at the college and the Schaefer Center. You're certainly not only preparing leaders for today, but you're shaping the future of public service in Maryland and beyond. So we certainly appreciate it. And like they said, if people do have thoughts, we're going to make sure that we have all the links in our show notes so that you can reach out and learn more about the work that they're doing. But any closing thoughts from either one of you before we wrap it up today?
Thanks for the opportunity to be here. And we believe in the importance of public service, the importance of education, and the power of education and service to transform lives. So we're happy to share this today.
No, thank you. I would just, reiterate that we'd like to be a resource for all of you who are listening. I'd be a terrible dean if I didn't invite you to check out our programs and apply for our programs. In fact, I've been, during this entire conversation, trying to recruit Shantelle. So, and I'm going to do it too. But really, we have some amazing things to offer, and we'd like to help you in the counties, leaders, and those of you doing the really really great work. So reach out to us and let us know how we can help, please.
All right. And we'll make sure, again, to link everything in the show notes, the ways to get in touch and to learn more about the college and the center. So again, thank you so much for being with us today. We'll go ahead and leave it there. If you enjoyed the podcast, please go ahead and subscribe. That way, all of these episodes will be sent to the device of your choice. You can also follow along on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and then, of course, keep reading the Conduit Street blog. New stuff every day, all the hot issues. But for my co-host, Shantelle, Malcolm-Lym, this is Kevin Kinnally signing off, and we will talk to you soon.